All right, guys. If you will watch my last video, at least you will know, I think, I'm going to Houston for 3 weeks straight. During the week is for work, but then on the weekends I used to live in Dallas, so I have some people that I know, and my mom and my grandmother are actually coming to Dallas because I have family there one of the weekends as well. So I'm just staying the whole time instead of going back and forth, which is somewhat exhausting because work itself is exhausting when I'm up there. I packed a bunch of stuff, as you probably saw, but I don't want this bag to be too full, because you know, if I have gaps or if I'm going somewhere and I don't have the right clothes for it, which honestly probably is not going to happen, but if that does come up and it does happen, I can just get some clothes, you know, it's not a big deal. I was listening to You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akawaki Emizi. I have the book up here, and so far I don't know how to put the book. I think I'm about halfway through the book now. I have less than 4 hours left in it, and it is a very entertaining read. Essentially it is about a woman who tragically lost her husband in a car accident. She was actually in the car as well and got out basically unscathed. And you know, 5 years passed of her kind of mourning and trying to get back to herself. And she in that time span moves to New York City. She's pursuing a career in art. She has a roommate named Joy, who is, you know, one of those funky people that kind of keep you light and everything like that. The book starts off with her having a one-night stand in the restroom with a guy by the name of Milan. It was the first guy that she'd been with since her husband passed away. And she is starting to kind of feel through, you know, intimacy and sex and having sex, but then also feelings, you know, and like getting attached. So she, you know, has this, you know, physical relationship with Milan. It's really easy for her, and then she meets his friend, who is more trying to get to know her, and push come to shove, he invites her to this island. The friend does, so she breaks up with Milan and they go out to this island where he's from, and it turns out that his father is this famous chef. And she's in a pickle because while she had been growing in friendship with his name is Nasir, Milan's friend, she is also very much turned on by his father. So if you could imagine, it is a mess. It is a mess. It is very, there's a lot of sexuality in here. There's, you know, bisexual behaviors, I guess you would say. I feel like that sounds really weird. But then there's also, you know, I would say promiscuity, but not in a negative way, because I don't like to paint that in a negative way. I think that we sometimes can be very judgmental about that when it's a very natural part of life. So I don't want to, you know, promiscuity has more of a negative connotation, but for what it's worth, you know, there's a bit of that. And then yeah, what else was I about to say? Yeah, so I'm at kind of the part where it's about it's right before the crescendo. There's going to be a crescendo very soon. Yeah, I don't know what that's going to look like, but I'm actually really excited to see what it looks like. The other book that I'm reading and will be reading this week is, I'm reading it on my Kindle, so I'll also put that one up here as well. But it is Olga Dies Dreaming by, I'm just gonna put her name up here because I do not know how to say her first name. But yeah, this book is really good. I'm really enjoying it. It says I'm about 30% through the book. I have a feeling I'm going to finish both of these books probably by mid to late week. So I'm saying Wednesday or Thursday because they are so good. This one is like this one keeps me on my feet. The what is it? She made a fool of death with her beauty. You made a fool of death with your beauty. And then the other one is it's just my cup of tea. It just hits all the spots. I will tell you guys a little bit about that one in the next clip. But yeah, welcome to day one of this next reading vlog. I'll see you guys probably on my way to Houston, if not all the way in Houston. Peace out. Hey guys, I am back. I actually just got back. Just got to Houston, and I'm loving the hotel room. Hopefully did a good little tour for you guys. And quick update, I have been listening to, like, I read on the plane, I read a little bit of Olga Dies Dreaming, but I've been listening to You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. And I am almost done with that book. I think I'm maybe an hour and a half out of being done with that book. And y'all, I honestly don't even know what to think. So I will say it's giving 4 stars for me. And these are the reasons why. Is because number one, the book is completely unapologetic. I can't pick whether something is right or wrong. It kind of reminds me in that way of American Marriage by T. Jones, in that, like, I do not agree with the relationship. If you've read this book, you know, I just, no matter how I try to, you know, I have compassion for Faye, but no matter how I try to, you know, dish it, I just cannot be okay with having a relationship with the father of someone that you're dating. And to me, the quickness with which they got to this point where they are, you know, lovey-dovey, and they're willing to put the father being willing to put the relation with his son and daughter at stake, and then also Faye not anticipating that there would be a lot of drama with that. Like, I don't know. It's kind of like, if you made your bed, you gotta sleep in the bed, you know. And I understand being in love, but for me, there's just some things you just don't do. Like, and that's just one of the things that I just feel like you don't do. However, I appreciate that about this book, is that the characters are very complex and complicated. There is trauma and tragedy in this story, but I love that the way the author interweaves it into a story to where it's not all about the weight of the tragedy. It's more about the living through the tragedy, and I feel like it's more about just the characters themselves. So I'm enjoying the book. Like I said, right now it's at 4 stars. I still have a little bit left to read in that. And yeah, right now with the other story that I'm reading, and that story I think I might put on the back burner and finish You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. But the Olga Dies Dreaming, I read like 1 chapter or maybe a half a chapter on the plane, and then I started watching on the plane this show. I want to actually put the show up too. I think it's called The Inspection, and it's with Gabrielle Union as the mom, and then these 2 other people. The one guy, I've seen him in things before, but it was about a guy who was disowned by his mother and ended up going to the Marines, gay, because he was gay, and then he went to the Marines, and Gabrielle Union's mother, she's nasty in the movie, but it was okay. It was kind of weird. If you could imagine, if you've seen this movie, it was kind of weird. I was in the middle seat and it was two guys like right in between me, and I'm watching this movie about this gay guy, so there's like some of these scenes that are kind of weird, and I'm like, they probably think I'm crazy right now, but I was like, you know what, it's on the little TV thing on the back of the seat, so it's okay. But I watched that on the plane, so I didn't read the whole time. I was watching that, and it was a very interesting movie. I don't know how I feel about it, but that's neither here nor there. I am kind of in I'm still in the development phase of Olga Dies Dreaming, I think. And I haven't gotten close to the crescendo. I don't know what is going to happen in terms of a crescendo. Whereas in You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty, whereas in that book, the crescendo, it has crescendoed, and it is a mess of a mess of a mess. All right, so the next time you see me, well, first of all, I think I need to sit and do a little bit of work, because I didn't do a lot because I've been traveling today. So I need to at least see where I'm at and maybe do a couple of expense reports so that I don't fall too far behind with that. And then the next time you hear from me, like actually speaking, it might be, let me think. It'll probably be when I'm finished with You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. So hopefully it's tomorrow at some point. But we'll see. So yes, today I'm here, got to do a little bit of work, gonna work out, gonna get some food, and I'm supposed to do a podcast episode with one of my friends, but I got a feeling I might have to push that back to Wednesday. Because I don't feel like doing it right now. I just feel like getting unpacked and just relaxing. But I do need to work out and... Okay, y'all, I'm blabbering. I'll see y'all in the next clip. Peace out. Oh, shoot, they probably are. I like... Hey YouTube, it's your girl Stacey Celeste, and I'm back with you guys. I have my mic that hopefully we have no technical difficulties on, but if it looks weird, I know I probably look a hot mess all over. My disclaimer, my eye is swollen because of my allergy, so I'm not sick or anything. I feel good. Not that you really care, because you're not going to get germs from me through YouTube, but my eye is a little swollen. I've come back from work, so I'm looking a little crazy right now, maybe, but it's all good. The show must go on. I'm getting home when it's light outside, which means I wanted to take the time to actually film real quick my conclusion to this reading vlog. I also really wanted to say, I think I'm best at just sitting down and talking about the books. I'm not really a good vlogger, I don't think, because I don't always like to pull my camera out at random times, but I did the best I could. But I think moving forward, I might just pick certain books that I want to dive into and just have a chit chat about, like a coffee break, lunchtime chat, kiki about the books versus doing the audiobooks. I don't know. Or not the audiobooks, but doing the reading vlogs, but we'll see. This right here is a reading vlog. Let's get into my conclusion. First and foremost, I think the last time I talked to you guys, I was talking about You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. I actually finished that book a week ago. So I finished that right after I filmed the last clip, my last speaking clip.
and I think I ended up giving it 4 stars. And ultimately, I really liked the book. I enjoyed the story. Like I said, I listened to this on audiobook. And I think the thing that really engaged me and the reason why I liked it is not because I like all the characters, because I think I compared it already to An American Marriage by Tayeri Jones, and that all the characters are somewhat flawed. There's no like perfect characters, but I think that mimics reality so clearly, and just it mimics it so well because nobody is really perfect. I think what I really enjoyed about it is that the story was very unapologetic, and it makes you question, like, what would our relationships look like, and how would we approach relationships if we didn't have so many rules about who you talk to and who you don't talk to. Now, while I do believe that there's some stuff that's off limits, like we do not need no R. Kellys, we do not need no Chester the Molesters, no pedophile Peters, none of them. We don't need them. We don't need them. We don't need them. But I think that there are certain restrictions that we place that are less, statutory. And like for instance, there's a rule, an unwritten rule that I always follow, is that you don't date none of your friends' exes. Like I don't believe in that. I don't do it, but I just think these stories make me really question some of that, because I think sometimes we might leave real true love on the table because we put so many stipulations and restrictions on it. Let me know what you guys think on that in the comments, because I think that's what kind of made this book very interesting and made it very uncomfortable in a way, because the main character was dating the father of, one of the guys that she was dating, and their relationship moved so fast, and it was very uncomfortable, a little bit disturbing for me. But honestly, to me, that's what a good book is about. It's not about always telling these stories that are super comfortable and just make sense for you, and that you can just, it's just so happy, and I like you, and I like that character. It's more so to make you think, and I will say that the author definitely made me think about love, made me think about tragedy. One of the things I really enjoyed and liked about this book is that, yes, there was a traumatic event that happened in the main character's life, and it really connected her to the father in this story, because he experienced a very traumatic event with his previous wife. And I think that it was really neat to hear how this young woman was coping with such a huge tragedy, and how she was able to still find herself, like it wasn't like the tragedy wasn't, it was in her art, and it was, a part of her life. But I think that she found a way to express herself and to live even after the tragedy. So she wasn't fully defined by what happened to her. She allowed it to, transform the way that she lived her life, in a way, through her art. If that makes any sense. You guys let me know in the comments below if you've read this book. That I could really appreciate. it. So overall, I just enjoyed it. And you'll see when I rate books, a 4-star book is just a book that I literally just enjoyed reading. I enjoyed the experience of reading that book. There was times at the beginning where I was like, I don't know if this is going to be for me. It's a little too much. It's a little out there. But I really think that it's just more unapologetic. It's more, there's a sexual fluidity that is spoken in this book that I can really appreciate. And I think that it makes it very intriguing for me, and it helps me to think. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Gave it 4 stars. All right. Now the next book. This is good. Now the next book that I introduced on this vlog is Olga Dies Dreaming. Now, full disclosure, I am not done reading this book. I think I'm reading on my iPad here, and I think I'm 91% through the book, so I probably will finish it either tonight when I sit in this bed and lay down and relax. I'll either finish it tonight or I'll finish it tomorrow evening. And let me real quick, because I don't think I did a good job in the previous clip of giving you a good synopsis, but I'm going to read the synopsis really quick to kind of get you guys re-engaged in that book, or at least reintroduced to the book. And then I'll let you know what I think up until now. When I finish the book, I will actually talk about it in the wrap up. So this will be my last clip in this vlog. So just so you know, I will give you what I think I'm going to rate it, but for final thoughts, check out my March wrap up, which I haven't filmed yet, which won't be uploaded until probably early April. So with that being said, let's get to reading the synopsis real quick. It's 2017, and Olga and her brother Pedro Prieto Acevedo are bold-faced names in their hometown of New York. Prieto is a popular congressman representing their gentrifying Latinx neighborhood in Brooklyn, while Olga is a Tony wedding planner for Manhattan's power brokers. Despite their alluring public lives, behind closed doors, they are far less rosy. Sure, Olga can orchestrate the love stories of the 1%, but she can't seem to find her own until she meets Mateo, who forces her to confront the effects of long-held family secrets. 27 years ago, their mother, Blanca, a young lord turned radical, abandoned her children to advance a military political cause, leaving them to be raised by their grandmother. Now, with the wind of hurricane season, Blanca has come barreling back into their lives. Blanca's their mother, set against the backdrop of New York City and the months surrounding the most devastating hurricane in Puerto Rico's history. Olga Dies Dreaming is a story that examines political corruption, familial strife, and the very notion of the American dream, all while asking what it really means to weather the storm. Now, with that being said, so far, 91% through, we're almost all the way through. I am absolutely enjoying this book. It is so far, honestly, unless the last 9% of the book does something really weird. This is definitely a 5-star read for me. This is a read that I would read again. I think the pieces of the book that really captivate me and really, just make me fall in love with it are the way that the author interwove the story with the history. I think that we don't talk enough about Puerto Rico as far as U.S. history is concerned. And I think getting a Puerto Rican perspective on, the U.S. Relationship with Puerto Rico, it's very eye-opening. And it honestly motivates me to want to dive a little bit deeper in understanding for myself what that looks like and how I guess we could say colonialism, so how that that relationship has affected Puerto Rican people. So in the comments below, let me know if you have any suggested nonfiction, or even if it's another fictional story that has a historical fiction book. Let me know with regards to Puerto Rico and just that goes into the relationship of the United States with Puerto Rico. Drop that in the comments below, because I'm definitely going to be looking into reading more about that. I think going forward, I'll probably film TBRs, because as I'm reading, I'm learning more things that I want to read about. And so this book has definitely sparked interest for me in that area. And I love how the author was able to kind of interwove this stuff. I didn't feel like it was force-fed. I didn't feel like it was a cliche. I felt like that it was done in a way that doesn't take away from the story, but then also, provides more knowledge about Puerto Rico and the relationship between the United States and its relationship between the United States. So that's one thing I like about it. The other thing I like about it, which you'll see, is that I love character-driven books. And these characters are so dynamic. They're as you heard in the synopsis, the main character Olga, she is a wedding planner, but as you see throughout the book, she is honestly, I can really identify with her because she has always done what she thought she was supposed to do, especially being someone that has been abandoned by her mother and raised by her grandmother. Now, that wasn't my scenario, but the thing that I identify with her is just this idea of success and getting to these things and knocking off these milestones that we were told would define us being successful, and getting to those points and not necessarily feeling like you live in a life that's truly genuine, or that is truly a reflection of who you are. And so you're trying to reevaluate and think what success looks like for you in a personal way. So I think Olga's definitely going through that piece, and I could definitely relate to her there. I love how the author kind of builds on her character and allows you to go deeper and deeper and deeper into her and her thought processes. I love that. I love Prieto. I loved the conversations that he has with his sister. I love their relationship, and then I also love how they talk about their family. I love the structure of the book. I love how, a lot of times when books go back and forth, to the past and then back to the present, and it gets kind of confusing. But for me, at least in reading the book and seeing the structure and seeing how it works, it hasn't been confusing at all for me. So I, can appreciate that about the book. Their mother, Blanca is, she is very, very, what is the word? I think dynamic is a word. Interesting is a word. She is a very, very tricky character because there's so much. She has so much knowledge and so much wisdom, and you can see it in the letters that she writes to her children. But ultimately, there's a selfishness there, and I think that sometimes it makes you think that we idolize a lot of people, a lot of revolutionaries in our history. But we don't necessarily see the perspective of their kids or their wives or their family. A lot of those people, in order to dedicate their lives to the revolution and to the change, they had to give up some things, or they had to neglect some aspects of their lives. And to see in this book how that affected Olga and Prieto, I just think that it gives a lot to the novel. There are a lot of quotes that I've highlighted a lot of this. So in the wrap up, I'll probably be able to kind of give a little bit more insight and detail about specific quotes and specific language in the book that really made me like the book even more. But on top of all that, I love the love interest. I loved Olga, Mateo. I love them. I keep saying loved. I still got 9% to read. So, but the relationship between Olga and Mateo is so beautiful. It's so genuine. They're both very imperfect, complicated people, but they give each other space to be. And I think that there's something so beautiful about that. Something so special. So I really, really enjoyed that. I enjoy the environment of the story, being in New York City, that you already know if you watched any of my previous videos. That's something that I love, books set in New York City. So that is very, very, that is a check mark in a lot of ways. And what else did I like? What else have I really enjoyed about the book? I said Prieto. I do like the story of Prieto. I do like just how they are handling some of the nuances about being a, and they say black and brown person. It's compared to one of the books that I talked about, I think Black Girls Must Be Magic. I think that's the second book in that series. I don't think I've talked about this book, but it's the book that I read earlier this month, and I honestly did not like the book. This was the second book, and I think Black Girls Must Die Exhausted was the first book. Didn't really, the first book, it was okay. The second book, I just felt like it became just I don't know. To me, it was just very cliche. The character wasn't very developed. To have such a broad title of Black Girls Must Die Exhausted or Black Girls Must Be Magic, the characters that were in it, they weren't dynamic. They were very flat to me, and I just thought it did a disservice, especially considering the title. I didn't feel like that in this book. Now, granted, it says Olga Dies Dreaming, so it's not, an all-encompassing type book, but I think that it hit on a lot of the nuances of being a person of color in a certain elitist society, especially the one that she was servicing as a wedding planner. I think that it hit on the vibe especially with Dick, who was one of her, I wouldn't say love interests, but like her dude that she was messing around with, him and how his relationship was with her. This guy's super rich white guy, divorced his wife, and he almost had a level of entitlement to her, and it was very cringy, but I think that it said a lot just in describing and developing those two characters, said a lot versus just saying this is what it is. The author, actually developed the characters to actually create the language and create the protest in a sense, or to just show and demonstrate how that relationship was, and you can kind of see how it reflects, a lot of how elitist people or people in elite spaces treat, people of color, even from a romantic standpoint. So I enjoy that a lot about the book. I could honestly go on and on and on. I'm really, like I said, I'm really enjoying this book right now. Obviously not finished with the book, but it's giving 5 stars. And yeah, I can't wait to dive in a little deeper in the wrap up later this month. But yeah, stay tuned for that. Last but not least, I did start an audiobook this weekend when I got the bulk of it read when I was driving home from Dallas. And it's called Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I forget who the author is, but I will put it up here. And y'all, I am thoroughly enjoying this book. Let me read real quick before I dive in. Let me read the synopsis on this book so you kind of get a feel for what it is. All right, so it reads, in this exhilarating novel by the best-selling author of The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry, 2 friends, often in love but never lovers, come together as creative partners in the world of video game design, where success brings them fame, joy, tragedy, duplicity, and ultimately a kind of immortality. On a bitter cold day in December of his junior year at Harvard, Sam Mercier exits a subway car and sees amid the hordes of people waiting on the platform Sadie Green. He calls her name. For a moment, she pretends she hasn't heard him, but then she turns and the game begins. A legendary collaboration that will launch them to stardom. These friends, intimate since childhood, borrow money, beg favors, and before even graduating college, they have created their first blockbuster, Ichigo. Overnight, the world is theirs. Not even 25 years old, Sam and Sadie are brilliant, successful, and rich, but these qualities won't protect them from their own creative ambitions or the betrayals of their hearts. Spanning 30 years from Cambridge, Massachusetts to Venice, California, or Venice Beach, California, and lands in between and far beyond, Gabriel Zevin's Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is a dazzling and intricately imagined novel that examines the multifarious nature of identity, disability, failure, the redemptive possibilities in play, and above all, our need to connect, to be loved, and to love. Yes, it is a love story, but it is not one you've read before. And when I say that is such a great synopsis, because who would have thought me, Stacey Celeste, like the last video game I played was when I had a Game Boy, and like I don't even know if it was the 2000s yet, but I had a Game Boy and I played Mario on that. I don't play video games. I don't do anything with video games, okay? I'm not a gamer. I'm not a gamer. I can appreciate gaming. I can appreciate the beauty of it and all that shit. But that is not, I don't do that. So me, of all people, enjoying this book, like, it says something. It says something. But when I tell you, that synopsis does a really great job of kind of capturing what the book is about. And I am so captivated by it. The characters, I just love the characters. I love, the way that the book has been broken down. This is also another book that goes back and forth between time frames and does so very seamlessly. I don't get confused. And this is an audiobook that I'm listening to it on audiobook. So it's even more so. It doesn't get flustered or confusing for me. The narrator is really, it's like a digital voice, if I could say anything, like just a very digital, matter-of-fact narrator voice, if you can imagine what that is. But it fits so well because it is a video game. It is about a video game, and it's about them collaborating to do. It's not really about necessarily the video game. It's about these two people and their relationship. But it is is around a video game, which is super duper cool. So yeah, like this book, I think I'm only at the part of the book where they just finished creating the game, so they're still both in college, wrapping up college, but still both in college. And so I still have like about 7 hours, I think 7 or 8 hours left in the book. So I still have quite a bit to go, but so far I'm thoroughly enjoying the book. I think I might, because there's 31 days this month, I may be able to finish this book by the end of the month. If so, you'll hear about it in my wrap up. If not, my wrap up for March. If not, you'll definitely hear about it in my wrap up for April. If not before then, if I really want to talk about it before the end of April. But yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying this read, and yeah, I can't wait to get further into the book and be able to provide you with more information in a wrap-up style, or in a March wrap-up, or an April wrap-up, or any other way that I decide to read it. So yeah, this is the last clip in this vlog. Thank you guys so much for watching. I have 100 subscribers now. I'm so thankful. I'm going to keep trying to create content, and I just want you guys to know that I read your comments, and I'm just happy to be able to share books, and I'm hoping that you guys share with me what you guys are reading, and we can just create a community that's just super dope, right? So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will check you in my next video. Peace out. Bye, guys.